position with a series of steps. So it's like the whole subway system. It's not just the Second Street stop. It's all the subway stops. And then at each stop, there's little battles that you have to fight, and then also connecting pieces. So for example, if you get off at 5th Street Station, there's buses that go this way and that way, there's detours, there's connecting, all that stuff. So it's the whole subway system plus the transit that connects to it. So what I mean by that is that at Jason's Standing, if we go to the first stop, there's the entry, right? So if I can't put his hips on the mat like this, there's other ways to do it. Maybe I use like this, and I start going to a waiter sweep, and I put his hips on the mat, and I kick through, and now I'm in my crowbar position, right? So if I can't catch the L at 2nd Street, maybe there's a bus that I can take to get to 5th Street or 8th Street. You see what I mean? So there's different entries that will get you to the next stop. But the stop that we're trying to get to is the crowbar position. And there's different versions of the crowbar position. But the idea is that if Jason is standing, if I get to 2nd Street, 5th Street, 8th Street, and I can invert all the way 11th, 13th to Broad Street, this is where I want to end up. And once I get to this position, this is the hardest part of the whole thing, because if I don't do this well, what ends up happening is Jason either turns towards me, and now I'm in a weird position where he can leg lock me or get on top of me and pass my guard. Or if I don't control him while he turns away from me, and he's light and fast, he ends up on top of me, and I lose everything. So he ends up on his back, and I get to my crowbar position. I want to make sure that whatever version I do makes it hard for him to turn towards me, and makes it hard for him to turn away from me quickly. That makes sense? Those are the two things I gotta worry about. Him turning this way and him turning that way. So, version number 1 of the crowbar is I have my foot close to his armpit so my knee is facing up. I have this leg behind his knee, and this is what allows me to take his hips off the mat. With this hand, I can have my hand hugging the hip here, or I can have my hand hugging the hip in front. Either way is fine. They both do slightly different things. For now, we'll keep it hooking on the outside of the hip. Pushing down until my partner's hips come off the mat. And now I can start to climb here, here, and I'm going to switch to what's called a twister hook. So my foot goes from here to here, so that I can weave this foot into this position. And then Maddie, this is the position that you were asking about, where you can go for the calf slicer and all that stuff. So I'm feeding from crowbar position to twister hook. And the reason for that is because right now, if I'm not careful with this leg, he can still turn towards me, like the other way, Jason. Like that. But if I do this, and I immediately go here, if he tries to turn towards me, he can't, because I have this leg woven around his leg and his hip, so he can't turn this way towards me anymore. From here, as his back gets exposed, I take a seatbelt grip, use my knee to pinch his hip, so that I can climb myself up to double hooks. So we go back to crowbar, here, like this. Stomping down to get the hips off the mat, climbing to hip number 1, climb to, for our version right now, the far shoulder, twister hook, seatbelt grip, pinching my knee, and hooks go in. Let's partner up and try that piece. I'm going to help everybody, so don't stress too much. I know it's a lot of pieces to put together.